All right, Colts fans, we are back with another edition of Into the DB Film Room. This is episode 4, breaking down our first win of the season. Colts beating the Miami Dolphins 27-17. And honestly, going into breaking down the film and kind of getting into this game, I expected so many more good clips of DB play because it was a win. It was a win. I expected a bunch of pass breakups, maybe some interceptions, something good. But instead, we have more negative clips than positive clips this week because the Colts sat in that cover 2 zone that Jacoby Brissett just didn't really do much with.
Bend don't break.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, and it's funny because you would think a guy like Jacoby Brissett, big arm quarterback, you don't want to sit in that cover 2 zone, but he's a big arm quarterback who doesn't throw the ball down the field at all.
That's a terrifying look. I think that having Jalen Waddle and a guy who can throw, if you're sitting in, you're sitting in an open field look almost the majority of the whole game, like, I'm kind of scary because if like we saw with Lockett, like we saw with those guys, he has that same type of ability. You know what I'm saying? He can shred you. So, they got lucky with that one.
They definitely felt confident in their scouting report of Jacoby Brissett going into the game. And for the most part, it worked. The only time it really broke down was, I would say, the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter when the game was already kind of out of reach. They start sitting even more of a shell, which we have one clip from that. But, yeah, guys, we're going to break down some more negative clips and positive clips. But overall, this was a positive game for the Colts. We're not going to – this isn't the show to shit on a win here. We're going to be talking about it. But, I put a stat on Twitter today that through 4 games now, the Colts are exactly 2 pass breakups for their corners through 4 weeks, and I think both of them came. Yeah, I think both of them came in week 1. I know TJ Carey's did.
Well, Sendejo.
All right. Well, yeah, that's for safety though. So
okay, corners.
I think if you count safeties, it would be up to 5. I think 5 or 6 maybe if you count safeties. So
we gotta get that. Need more production on the back end. Definitely more production on the back end is needed, not only for us but for their sake.
No, mostly for us though. Mostly for us. First clip here though, we're talking Sendejo. Our lone positive coverage snap of the week for a Colts defensive back came from Andrew Sendejo, a guy who was filling in for Kari Willis. I believe he's 35, 36 years old, veteran. Like you and I were talking beforehand, played for the Vikings for a long time alongside Harrison Smith. Was a very solid player, strong safety type who could get up in the box. But he also played some of that single high for them and allowed Harrison Smith to come up. But he's one of those guys, like, he doesn't have the speed. He never really had the speed, but he definitely doesn't have it now. But just a very, very savvy vet here. And he's going to be on the tight end here and Durham Smythe, and just solid coverage all across the board here.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing, I think, especially with these tight ends, people get it kind of mixed up with so many tight ends coming out now. They think they're all receivers. Tight ends are huge. Like Sendejo's probably 5'9", 5'10", maybe somewhere around there. Man, these tight ends are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". When you're up there in man coverage, you got to get in the face, be physical, disrupt the timing. He knows he has post help right there, so he can be a lot more aggressive. And that's exactly what you saw right there. Kind of got swiped, good hand movement by the tight end, but recovered well, broke the ball up. Overall, just a good football play right there by the savvy vet.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned, like, he did get swiped here, and he's out of position, but he knows he's got that middle of the field close. He's got that safety help, so he can come back and undercut it.
Yep.
And it would really been nice if he came down with the pick there. And then Julian Hoffman had a shot to pick as well.
That would have been too much to ask for now. Come on, Zach. Come on, Zach.
Yeah, we can't get on a good play on here. We can only get tip balls or overthrown passes.
Yeah, man. You're asking for all the cake.
But even across the board here, I think it's really good coverage. You got Kenny's going to be trailing with the tight end going deep. He sits right in that hip pocket. The linebackers, I'm pretty sure, going to just eat up this underneath route here.
Yeah, he kind of relaxed too after the ball came out. He drove with a lot of urgency right there. Linebackers sitting on it. They know they can't throw that ball. Looks like everybody else was in great position right here. Had a lot of good was sitting on the low hips. Our boy, who's in the slot right there?
Down here? This would be Isaiah Rodgers down here.
So Isaiah probably was a little high, but like you said, we have post safety right there.
Yep.
And they know that. But yeah, good across the board. I like that. I wish we can get more of that. Obviously, I think everybody. No, not attacking them. I think that's like a picture perfect look if you're gonna go, in a single high look right there, or a cover one look. So I like it.
Yeah, and some interesting drops here because you got Leonard who's going to be crashing down on here, but then you got Okereke, Bobby Okereke. I got to get that name right now. 3 years of getting it in my head wrong. Bobby Okereke comes off the line, drops into this zone, and then you actually have the defensive end Al-Qadim Muhammad dropping in this zone here. So they have the sticks dropped right here. They have man coverage.
Third and 5 right there, 3rd and 4.
Third and 3, 3rd and 4, yeah.
Yeah, so they know the ball's coming out quick. You want to be disruptive, be in their face, make them make a mistake, do exactly what they did there. The ball has to come out hot. They're showing, what's that, 5? They're showing 5 and they drop 3, drop 2.
Man, they're showing. It looks like they're showing 6 because they have Sendejo right. But he, you could say that he's
yeah.
He's already
I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're showing 5 and they drop 2.
Yeah, so it's just 3-man rush.
Yeah, but you see that at quarterback, and he even got a hand on our tight end right there. You see at quarterback, they're standing up that protection, and we had our left guard and left tackle both pick up one player right there. We dropped one in coverage, like that ball's coming out hot. So right off the bat, Jacoby's probably thinking, "Oh shit," I'm saying, get the ball out, and they did a good job.
Yep, just a really nice play call, really good execution, and props to the veteran Sendejo making the play here against probably a tight end who's 12 years younger than him.
He's younger than him. Hey, I can guarantee you he's younger than him.
Okay? Yeah, I mean Sendejo's one of the older players in the league.
Yeah, I can guarantee he's younger.
Next up, we got our run stop of the week, and you're a coach here. You were watching this play beforehand. You were saying, I need to get the clip of this. I need to show this to my, the guys that you're working with. I mean, this is just teach tape, right?
Oh yeah. He's got the safety fin outside. What gap was he in? Was he C gap fitter right there?
It looks like they're doing the spill. They got Muhammad crashing down, and then he's just going to be filling that C gap.
Or is it a D? Is it a D? Oh, D. So okay. So he's fine. But he gets inside. He knows he has to fit that gap. He slips the shoulder in, doesn't get blocked. Makes the tight end whiff on him. And just gets low man wins. Gets square, makes a tackle, great play. I love that play. Like that's a hell of a football play right there. Like that type of stuff, especially for a corner, for all these guys who think you don't have to tackle. Like that's what gets you paid. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Obviously, covering people is what was gonna, make you elite. But this is a whole part of this. Is one of the reasons why I love Marcus Lattimore. He's not afraid to come up and pop you. You know what I mean? Like Marlon Humphrey, them guys will come up and lay the wood on you. And, I love what we've been seeing from Kenny Moore in the run game. We talk about the pass game all the time, but, he's always active where it doesn't matter if it's Derrick Henry or is this who's our guy? Is this Sanders? So like it doesn't matter who it is, like he's showing up. He's gonna do his job, and that's that he's become one of my favorite players just because he's so good at what he does. Not elite is in terms of like measurables, but his ability, his instincts, his athletic ability, and I think as a football player, he's very elite, and I think that's why he's so respected around the league.
Yeah, for sure, and kind of like you said there, this is what gets you paid. This is a big reason why the Colts paid him because the Colts defense, they're almost always in nickel. Sometimes they'll have 3 linebackers out there, but for the most part, they're in nickel. So what you'll see a lot is either an extra safety in the box, Kenny in the box, and like we mentioned last week, they like to run that spill defense, like to have guys crashing down and the other guys flowing in. Your slot corners and your safeties coming down the box have to know how to tackle.
Yeah, your cleanup guy.
The defense does not work if these guys are not making their tackles. We saw that in the first 2 weeks. The Colts defense was not making those tackles, and their run, the yards per carry against them was atrocious. Last week against Derrick Henry, they held him to just 4 yards a carry. I think this week against the Dolphins, they were under 4 yards a carry again, like typical. That's because these guys were filling, just like Kenny here filling. Just did a great job getting in there and making a play like this.
Think about it. If Gesicki blocks Kenny right here, Sanders probably pops this outside. He's one-on-one with our corner. I don't know who that is.
That's Rodgers.
So he's one-on-one with Rodgers. I don't want, my corners one-on-one with running backs, when nobody else is out there in an ideal situation. So who knows what happens if Kenny doesn't make this football play and make him cut that ball back, and then he makes the play. Not alone just like made him cut back, but he made the play. So super, big props to Kenny right here, man.
Yep, just great play. And then it's all negative from here. It's all downhill from there. Unfortunately, I wanted all positive plays. But one week we'll get all positive plays in here, I swear. But this next clip here, we got the veteran Xavier Rhodes, one-on-one, zero. It looks like zero coverage across the board. I can't remember if there was a safety over top, but let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's probably one safety back here, I think.
Deep.
Yep, there he is. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the safety back. So he's got one-on-one, though. He's got press man coverage, and this against Devontae Parker. Just an excellent player who can go up and get it. And I think for the most part in this rep, he's doing an all right job.
Mm-hmm.
He's bumping and running here. He's got the hand on. He forces that route to the sideline. The ball's thrown back shoulder, and then once that ball arrives, that left arm gets there, and he pulls him down.
I think like we were talking a little bit off air. I think that's what happens when you lose a step. I think his clock probably got a lot more sped up than it needed to be. He probably should have started squeezing. And this is one of the better cornerbacks of the last decade. So you know what I mean. So when I'm being critical of him, I have a ton of respect for Rhodes, but he probably should start squeezing there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Right there, if he goes if he takes his left shoulder and just squeezes, he squeezes Devontae out of bounds. He probably gets 1 foot in if he makes a catch. But he gets into a foot race. Devontae adjusts, he panics, pulls him down with the left arm, easy flag. And he's a physical guy. We saw last week, when the ball or when the receiver breaks, like he's always done in his career, he wants to get hands on you. That's what type of guy he is. What type of guy he was at Florida State. That's his MO. Now I think, as he gets longer in the tooth, I think it's coming back to bite him a little bit. Because once that physical ability is gone, your technique is everything. And I think the corners that have been able to play, into their 30s or late 20s at a high level, they've adjusted with incredible technique or moved to safety.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because last year we saw him play and he looked, he looked a little slower. He did. It's but he was kind of using that physicality to his advantage, and he was able to still have a lot of success last year. Where this year so far through 2 games, he has been injured, so he's still kind of working back from that injury. But through 2 games, it's not really translated the way it did last year.
And he could be rusty. You know what I mean? And he could be knocking off, rust in these games right here, getting the feel back. As the season, it takes time, and I'm not sure if it was Bucky Brooks or I saw somebody else earlier talking about this the point in the season where you see who's real or who really wants it. Those type of things. Because we'll see some of these vets, they'll start making plays, or some guys will go down, and you'll find out who's who. You're a couple games in, your body's hurting a little bit. Let's see who fights through it. Let's see who gets better, and who's serious about helping their team and earning that paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this next one here, guys, we don't like to speculate, even though a lot of this show is just us speculating. This one, though, I think deserves the biggest disclaimer of all the ones that we have talked about, because I think it's just a coverage bust across the board. So we're going to try to break down parts of what we think could have been done better to prevent that coverage bust. But overall, the Dolphins could have scored 2-3 different ways on this one here. So it's hard to kind of assign blame to someone, just blanket blame to 1 or 2 players here. It's just it's a lot going on here, because I mean, right here we got 3 receivers down here, we got 5 defenders over top, we got one-on-one right there, and the Colts just kind of get jumbled and lose Gesicki across the middle here. But what did you see when you first saw this play here?
When I first see it, obviously, you see a tight bunt formation, receiver at the top of the screen. He's in tight, so you think he's gonna go right under, maybe some type of mesh, maybe something in the corner. But the back splits wide. So obviously, as a defender, as soon as I see this, obviously I don't know any game plan, haven't watched Miami's offense. I'm thinking the point guy who's at Waddle, I think he's gonna do something vertical, maybe some type of crosser. In an ideal situation, Gesicki comes out.
Yeah.
And they try to pick. Yeah, and he tries to come out to the right, and Devontae sets some type of pick and tries to go under, right? And that'll set up our mesh. Our guy at the top, finishes that mesh, and somebody gets picked, couple picks along the way. Running back just goes out there as a last resort. That's what I wish would happen. That's not what happened.
No.
Yeah, on this play, you can go ahead and spin it. Looks like we have Sendejo. A little bit of confusion before the play. Sendejo takes Waddle. Who's that? Blackman takes Waddle as well, but they're both out of position.
Rogers and Sendejo. Yep, both take Waddle here.
Rogers and Sendejo both take Rogers, and both of them are out of position. Yeah. So obviously, we got two zone backers right there. That's what they're spot dropping right there. Okurike and did I say that right?
Okereke, yeah. I think you were good enough to where I think we'd be good there. We're still working on it.
Okereke and Leonard, I feel like they're both spot dropping right here. And the issue on this play, not just the running back being wide open in the flat, not that one. I think Sendejo's doing a good job of catching Waddle right here to slow it down. The problem is when Leonard reroutes, he doesn't attach, right? So if he's in a zone, they're trying to pick him with the receiver running the under right there. You're in zone and turns into man.
Yep.
He pushes his guy open and then goes, oh shit, and tries to catch up and go get him. Well, he pushed him open. They're frustrated. Hands are up. You never want to see that. In my personal opinion, I don't know what they do defensively right here, but I think he has to attach to that.
Yeah.
Everybody else is playing man. Zone turns into man eventually. So unless he's just, QB spying right there, I think he has to attach to Gesicki running underneath because clearly he reroutes him. But if he just attaches, we make a tougher throw, whether that's to Waddle or Brissett hits that running back in the flats, or he tries to run the ball for a touchdown. And it's fourth down, so they have to score.
Yep. Yeah, I think from me seeing it, and I watched this play a bunch of times before we even start talking about it, but I think Sendejo is supposed to be on Gesicki if this is that flat route like you talked about, because that is the Colts actually scored on a 3rd and goal from around the same area, doing exactly what you said, where I think this guy went straight, this guy picked, and it was Mo Cox for the Colts that scored in the flat there.
Yeah.
So the Colts are definitely gearing up for that, to where if Gesicki's coming out, Sendejo is going to be crashing down on that. And I think they'd be fine in that situation. These linebackers are both spot dropping, like you said. And I think you have to have that awareness to where if you see that tight end coming across, that Sendejo's trying to work over to that, and he's not going to get there. So you have to have that awareness to stick to the guy when he comes across your zone.
Yeah. Because there's nothing else there.
Yeah, and Okereke, I think, could get more contact here, but it's fine because he gets that spot drop there. But yeah, the thing is just Leonard needs to, again, he reroutes, but he reroutes like he's expecting Sendejo to be like right here, and that's not a feasible position for where he's going to be. Now, again, this is just our guess here. Maybe Sendejo is not supposed to be playing outside leverage. Maybe he's supposed to be over top, and Leonard's expecting him to be, say, here when he's rerouting. I don't know, but from the way this play kind of played out, you have to have that awareness where, hey, Sendejo's playing outside leverage. He's playing for that flat. So when that tight end crosses your face, you got to stick on him, especially when you feel this receiver coming across, because there's nobody else over here.
Yeah, and I know he's in. Like I said, I see the hesitation. Whether that's he's expecting something behind him, whether that's a slant, whether that's that little under route, whether it's the quarterback, running. I see it. But, like we talk about, you have to be a good football player and realize, hey, it's 4th down on the goal line. I can't turn anybody free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't give them a touchdown. Make them earn it. Get a little bit closer. Was it incomplete right here?
What's that?
Was this an incomplete pass?
No, he caught it. It was 4th and 1.
Okay, I saw somebody signal incomplete. But yeah.
No, this was just this guy, putting his hands up and then throwing it up for the
But yeah, signal, you know what I mean? Be a football player. You can't turn people loose in the goal line. You have to be super, 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 super urgent in the red zone. Attach to that guy, make them work for that touchdown. That's you hate to see it because like you actually said it a minute ago. The red zone woes are kind of, they're kind of getting alarming here. And I know Leonard's been on the wrong end on 2 or 3 of those. But clearly it's an issue right now. I don't know whether that's statistically in the red zone, but I would love to see them clean it up a little bit more, especially against a team like Miami who doesn't have Tua. They're not the most talented team in the NFL. It's a win, but you just you want good reps in game, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, the defense for the most part in this game was very solid. Their game plan worked, but these red zone mistakes, you got to clean them up. I mean, last week it was a running back in the flat for a score. In week 1 against the Seahawks, it was a wide open drag route from about 8 yards out. That was a walk-in touchdown. Last week it was that slant that we were talking about. That was also a walk-in touchdown. Like just way, way too many of these type of touchdowns for teams to start the year for the Colts. And regardless, I mean, again, from watching this, I think, again, Leonard needs to stick here. But regardless of whose fault this is, I mean, even if Leonard plays this perfectly, Brissett, if he just hits his first read, which is the running back just coming here in the end zone, it's a touchdown too. Because right here, this shouldn't happen right here.
Yeah, I think you're getting good pressure at the bottom. Who's our end right here?
94 is Tyquan Lewis.
So Tyquan Lewis is getting really good pressure right here, making Brissett step up. That kind of takes away the flat. So there's some good in the play. We'll give Tyquan Lewis some credit. Some of our other DBs did a good job. But it's definitely stuff to improve on. So
yep, absolutely. And then our final play here, and I when I watched this play live and I watched it in the game, the first thing I thought of was the way that you talk about DBs when it comes to playing the ball in the air. I mean, even without getting the all 22, just watching the broadcast, I was like, that's something that we're going to talk about this week, because for the most part, this is a good rep by Isaiah Rodgers down here. A young corner making his first career start. Right here, he's winning. He's winning that route. He's got the inside. He's got eyes on the quarterback. He's got eyes on this guy. It's just when it gets to fading down the field, you get into a box out match with one of the best jump ball receivers in football.
Hey, look, you're not going to win that rebound match. You got a little too deep. He was in good position 90% of that route. Good right here. Gets
Really
downfield, kind of panicked a little bit. He even gets back in good position. He's good. Devontae's savvy. I think he adjusts to the ball a little bit before. And this is where, obviously, like we talked about, become the receiver as well. Devontae was playing the ball the entire time. I can't say that our guy Rodgers was. He was playing to knock the ball out. Got boxed out here. Devontae, that's what he does. And he just went up and got it and got mossed. So,
yeah, it's just a tough play. Like I was saying when we were talking about this pre-show, is when you get to this situation, you got eyes on your receiver, or you got the feel for the receiver, you got eyes on quarterback. I feel like you can just shuffle with this route here. Like you don't need to turn and run. I just because if Brissett makes a 50-yard pass to beat you over the top, so be it. And
he's a fast guy. Like Rodgers is a really fast guy. I think it's one of them situations where, I would do the same thing. Like I would, if I'm watching it now, even the first 5 times I watched it, I'm like, man, why the hell he's fast? Like why he panicked? But in the game, all you're going is, oh shit, he got behind me. And then you're turning and running, and then you're like, oh, because like we could slow this play down, but I bet it happened that fast to him. All he knew was he went there, and the ball showed up on him. High stakes football is the NFL. I say it a lot. That one little half a yard that he looped that little run right there, took him out of the play. If he would have stayed where he was at right here and just waited for it, maybe he makes a pick, maybe he knocks the ball out. But hey, you gotta play football at the end of the day and go up and make a play.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's 95% right, and you can kind of live with it when it's a young corner, especially when it's something that doesn't kill. This didn't kill the game. The game was kind of out of hand at this point already. So
you live with those, man. Like like I coach corners. Like when that type of stuff happens, I'm just like, okay, all right, get up, let's go, keep it moving. Like he made a play. I can live with you getting caught on. Like I can live with you getting caught on. I can't live with blown coverages. I can't live with you not, executing the proper technique. I can't live with you doing your own thing. This isn't the case. This is a guy just, he got a playmate on him by a good football player. And that's his game. It's kind of get mad at somebody for losing a foot race to the edge with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He's gonna win that one.
Yeah, always. Yeah, jump ball receiver is going to win the jump ball, and speed receivers are always going to win down the field. It's kind of like when Kari got beat by Tyler Lockett early in the season. It's like
you don't want that matchup. I don't want that to happen. I don't want you in that situation.
Yep. I think Isaiah Rodgers had a good day overall, though. I think for the most part, he wasn't tested too much because it was cover 2 shell zone for most of the game. But he made a couple really nice tackles. I didn't put him in there, but he made a couple nice tackles coming up. I think it was a solid game for him. He
looked more comfortable. I think, obviously, I don't think the Dolphins receivers are as good as the ones we've seen, weeks prior. So he probably looked a little bit more comfortable. And that's such a huge thing. Being comfortable and confident at corner are critical, especially for young guys, because they're out there, they're just looking and they're seeing guys that they watched on TV, and So he looked a lot more comfortable out there, and maybe he is just better in zone or more comfortable in zone. But his physical tools scream man. So
we'll see. I mean, first career start. Hopefully, it's a sign of good things to come. It can only just kind of go up from here. And I think it was again up and down, but mostly pretty good start for a young corner. But yeah, that's all we have, guys. We're only at like the 26 minute mark right now. So I figured because we're at the quarter of the season mark here, we can kind of do a little bit of like superlatives and kind of saying what we liked. I mean, we have a 17 game season here. There's only 4 games in. So whatever we're going to say does not all of a sudden mean that's going to be true throughout the rest of the season. But I would say if I had to pick someone for most impressive player so far, and I know you haven't watched the Colts over the last couple of years as much as like I have or a lot of Colts fans have. But I would say Rock Ya-Sin for those first 3 games, I think was the most impressive defensive back, just because we saw a lot of those inconsistencies, we saw a lot of issues and a lot of grabbing and penalties in the last couple of years. And through 3 games that he played, he didn't play this past weekend, but the first 3 games, we didn't see any penalties. We saw some physicality. We did see some miscues, but he did make up for it by making a big time play and being a ball player. So I think, from our watching all these and just watching his clips, Rock Ya-Sin's look good.
Yeah, that was when you talked about some guys, like obviously, like I think Kenny's been our guy. Like I love some of the football plays he's making, not necessarily plays in coverage, but Rock, from what I know, because I've learned everything about him through you. I've kept up with the Colts, like even last year defensively, like what they're doing definitely caught my attention. And then obviously, getting Xavier Rhodes and him doing this thing last year. So I keep tabs. But Rock, from just keeping up with him the last year or so with you and coming in this year and talk about him, watching him on film, it was something that I noticed too. I was expecting something a lot worse than the product that he's put on the field. It's not a shot at him, but I expected to see a very, very inconsistent young corner. But I saw some positives. I saw him put hands on people. I saw some pretty good footwork. I saw him. It looks like he's ironing out some of those deficiencies that plagued him in the past. And he's a guy. It's 14 games. 13 games left. Like that's a lot of football. Hopefully they get healthy, not just him. The Colts in general, with that long IR, they are the injury list. But he's a guy that I'm excited to see week 12 and 13. You know what I mean? I think that he's a headsy player. I do think that. I think he, just from following him at the Senior Bowl, he has the tools necessary to be that cornerback that receivers hate going against. And I think once it clicks, if it clicks, he's going to be a very fun corner to watch. And I think obviously Kenny Moore, him, excited to watch Rodgers going forward with his tools. We got a taste of him. Safeties, definitely, I think, a unit that's not the healthiest or the biggest playmakers in the world. But, I think it could be worse for the Colts right now with what they've been working with.
Yeah, for sure. And, to kind of add even more context to Rock Ya-Sin, first couple games of his career in 2019, he was kind of thrown to action. A lot of struggles. He had that Denver game where he had five penalties against Cortland Sutton. All against Cortland Sutton. He had
that's
5.
A nightmare matchup, though. That's like Devontae Parker plus.
Right? Yeah. It's like the juiced up Devontae Parker. Yeah. It's a tough one. But after that, he was great down the stretch. Had an outside. I think he only allowed like 4 catches against him for like the last 10 weeks that year as a rookie. follows up with 2020 last year, and it was very inconsistent. A couple really great plays, like that game against the Packers. He had that great play. Against the Bears, he had a couple pass breakups. Really good plays, but then the penalties kind of kept showing up again. So this year, it really will be interesting, where it's like through 3 games that he's played, we've seen a lot of good things. We've seen positive things. Now, will we get the same Rock Ya-Sin throughout the course of the season? Like you said, I want to see what he's going to look like in week 13 and 14.
Yeah.
Not just week 1, 2, and 3. I think it's going to be big for him.
Yeah, and just to point out some things with him, like the flags, right? So that's something that, some corners adjust well, some don't. Like we saw all the Michigan State corners coming out of school. They had that super physical. They were dominant in college, whether it's Trey Waynes, Denard. Who was the last one?
Justin Lane, I think, was kind of one. He wasn't dominant there, but he was
those guys were all like highly touted, draft prospects. But we all talked about it. He's a little handsy, but he'll fix it. They never really fixed it. In the good ones do. It was a concern I had with J.C. Horn. Like I said, they talked about it in camp. We didn't really get to see it. Obviously made a pick or a player or two here. He's a very elite athlete. And I think Rock can be in the same boat. But like I said, we're in year 3. The clock's kind of ticking. Like, is he going to be one of those guys that sticks around for 6, 7, 8 years and never quite figures it out? Or is he going to be that guy, like we said, this year, and it just flips? The switch flips for him. And I hope it does, because, I love saying his name, top 10 name in the NFL and all of that. So, I'm excited to watch him going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just to get on one more or 2 more kind of superlatives here through the first 4 games. Obviously, our top defensive back, I think we can both agree, is going to be Kenny.
Yeah.
Through here, even with I think he's allowed 2 touchdowns this year, 1 to DK and 1 to Chester Rogers. I just think his overall play has still been pretty high. One of the best run filling guys, makes a lot of plays in the pass game. Elite athlete, just doesn't have the height and the size.
Yeah.
But like we've been saying, he's teach tape every single week. He's just one of the best.
He's their best football player.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to knock like the good stuff that Darius Leonard and them do.
And DeForest Buckner, obviously. But besides, he's one of their top playmaker football players.
Yeah, like you need that guy on the field. Yeah, you need that guy on the field, 100%. And so he's one of the better football players, one of the best football players out there. Every time he steps on the field, and he does what he does. You're gonna get beat every now and then, but when you're making plays in the pass and in the run, I'll take a bad play every now and then.
Yep. And then our last ones here are going to be guys that kind of need to step up. And I think it's very obvious from the last 2 weeks we've seen the pass interferences. I think Xavier Rhodes, we got to see more of last year. Xavier Rhodes.
No, you got it.
Oh, I was going to say, the penalties, I can live with penalties as long as you're not doing them as much, but 3 and 2 games.
It's a habit. It's a habit.
It's tough. And, the rust might be there. Missed the last 2 weeks with injury. It was a leg injury too. So an older guy with a leg injury, that can obviously play a factor.
And a taller guy as well. He's not a little guy.
So that could play a factor. But I think going forward, this Colts secondary is going to be at least a good to above average or above average secondary. He needs to play like a cornerback 1 or a cornerback 2 type. He can't be this guy who's getting all these pass interference calls. Against not even what's going to happen when he goes against the top receivers in the league? Like Devontae Parker is good. Don't get me wrong. Nick Westbrook is a bench player who beat him last week. But when you're going against, I don't think they play him, but like your Cortland Suttons or later in the year they got like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and all those guys and Stephon Diggs. What's going to happen in those matchups if you're not cleaning it up now early in the year? So I think that's just going to be a big thing to watch.
Yeah, he and the Devontae Parker, that's the one I would want him on. You know what I mean? Like I don't want him on Waddle. I don't want him on any of the other guys. I want him on the Devontae, the wide receiver, almost 2-ish, lower tier 1 types. I want him on those bigger guys. I want him on the Mike Evans. I want him on those guys. I don't want him on Diggs. I think you can be physical with those guys, but you also have to make plays, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you can't just be playing blind out there, drawing pass interference after pass interference. And he's a pro. It's gonna get brought up. He's a vet, and hopefully he fixes it. or else I don't think he'd be in the league at this point. Honestly, like I said, he did make some plays last year, but all it takes is a couple picks, and people tend to forget about all your miscues. So let's hope Xavier, has one of those Trayvon Diggs games next week.
We can all hope against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Colts get them on Monday night next week. It's going to be a fun one. I think we're going to have a couple candidates for run stop of the week. I don't know about how we're going to look in the pass coverage.
Yeah, just a few. I think the Ravens may run the ball.
Just a little bit.
They may run the ball. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we get some pass breakups in there because, like I said at the top of the show here, I think it's only 2 for the year so far among corners for the Colts, and I think it's only 5 in total if you count the safeties. I think Julian Blackman, Sendejo. It might just be 4. I don't know. It's not great. Not great. We need more pass breakups, more interceptions, more big plays by this secondary, and it's going to have to pop up here soon because they got they got the Ravens on Monday night, and then after that they got a couple divisional games. I think they got Houston after that, and I think Tennessee again soon after. So those are the games you got to win. You got to have your secondary stepping up. So we'll see how the secondary responds against a very interesting Ravens team for a secondary to play against. Run heavy and big pass game.
Yep, and so we'll see. Obviously the speed guys have given them issues. We'll see if Marquise Brown, does something exciting. But I think Kenny. Hopefully Kenny makes himself be felt out there on the perimeter and run support, and maybe there's a Rodgers side and Xavier Rhodes grabs him a turnover or two. So
yeah. One thing we can always say for certain, every time the Colts play on a big stage on, even it's Thursday night, Sunday night football or something like that, Kenny always makes a play.
Yeah, so Kenny's showtime, man. He's like the new Jackrabbit.
He's showtime. He is. Yep, and he'll make a play. He'll make some kind of play, whether it be a sack or a big tackle for a loss. We'll have the analysts talking about this really underrated quarter in Kenny Moore. It's like everyone across the league.
Everybody knows Kenny.
Yeah,
man.
Everyone knows Kenny. But guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in for another edition here of Into the DB Film Room. We'll be back next week, hopefully with all positive clips after our Colts victory on Monday night. Hopefully. All right, we will see you guys next week.